My name's Joe MacKinnon.
Joe MacKinnon, and you're from Hyannis, and you have at least one of Augusto's dogs, right?
I have one of Augusto's shepherds that we bought from him after basically we were trying to do a rescue ourselves, and we looked into it, and unfortunately all we could find were pit bulls, and we were concerned about the breed, and and not knowing what you're going to get. And if I were going to rescue a dog, I didn't want to try on a pit bull. So so after some searching, we weren't able to find anything. So and I met Augusto on Main Street, as so many people in Barnstable have.
Right.
And was so impressed with his command of his animals, and how well they behaved, and how smart they were, and how good they looked. And I'm familiar with the Western German breed a little bit, because my dad was a breeder 40 years ago.
Right.
And so I understand that they're a smaller dog, and quite frankly they live longer, and we've had our hearts broken so many times from dogs going. So we decided to go with Augusto and get one of his pups. So we have Aida. We've had her for 18 months. One of the things that impressed me the most about Augusto was when I went to meet Augusto, I thought I was going. I had met him, but when I went to his home, to his kennel, to see his layout and the dogs, I was kind of I guess disillusioned that I thought I was kind of interviewing him. You know what I mean? Like to see if he was going to be good enough for me to get a dog from. And ironically, he was really interviewing me to know if I was somebody who was qualified to really take care of a dog properly, because it's really a huge commitment, and he is extremely committed to making sure that his dogs are homed appropriately. Yeah, he's trying to make a dollar while he's doing it, but at the same time he's extremely committed to making sure that the dogs are well cared for, that you're gonna be bringing your dog to the vet on a regular basis, all those things. He actually came to the house to make sure the dog had some room to run around, and we don't have a huge yard obviously, but there's enough room for the three dogs.
Right.
It's fenced in, and they can run around, and we play with them and all that good stuff. So I was quickly put in my place when I realized he was interviewing me to find out if I was a qualified candidate to have one of his dogs. And the more I got to know him, the more impressed I got with him, because of his commitment, And then I started following him on Facebook, and so we were visiting Aida every week, after she was born, until we were able to get her, and we learned more and more with each visit, and got more and more impressed. And the other thing is, what Augusto does for you when you buy one of his dogs is he provides free training for life, basically.
Right.
So he's committed to that, to making sure that the dog's gonna work. Now, Aida could use some more training for sure.
Do you want to introduce us to Aida? Can you call her over, and then
Aida, come here,
I can get her into the shot?
Aida, come. So this is Aida. This is one of Augusto's. She's 18 months old.
My goodness.
Yeah, she's probably the sweetest dog I've ever had, and I've had dogs my whole life.
Hey, get back in the shot. Go back in the go back in the shot. I want to get Aida in there. And what's this fellow right here, the big guy?
Yeah, his name is Nalu. Nalu, come here. Come here, boy.
What really nice temperaments on both of them.
Yeah, we got lucky with Nalu. Again, we were rehoming him, and Augusto intervened and basically said, and this is the thing about Augusto that a lot of people just don't realize, is he's so committed to quality homes for dogs, and to make sure people who really know what they're getting into when they get a dog, and that they're going to be properly cared for. And he knew if Nalu ended up in a rescue, his chances were slim. He's got hip issues, he's got knee issues.
How old is Nalu?
Nalu's 7, almost 8.
Yeah, that's getting near the.
Yeah.
What's it, like 10.5 years, the average, or is it?
It depends on the breed. So Nalu is clearly what we would call a puppy mill dog. So unfortunately, a lot of breeders didn't do the right thing by the German Shepherd breed, and they bred them for their large size, and for those whatever attack qualities or watchdog qualities type of thing. And because of that, that's why they have the hip dysplasia issues and things like that.
Right. There's been some controversy from what I read about, like, the show and the slope of the back and stuff like that. Yeah. Different breeders doing certain things.
Right.
Yeah.
So they look at things like the pointiness of their ears, the slope of their back, the way their front paws carry, all these things that I'm, quite frankly, I wasn't interested in the breed for showing or for breeding. I was interested in the breed for their loyalty, intelligence, and the love that they give you. You know?
Yeah, look at that.
So
right on cue.
Yeah, so that was the reason why I was interested. And again, I had shepherds as a child. My first memory of the first dog I remember was a shepherd, kind of like Nalu's size. This guy, I think, is going to live longer because of Aida. They play a lot. I work from home and I'm on conference calls. I have to put them out in the yard a lot because they're running around the house having fun, you know?
Yeah.
But the other thing I was getting to with Nalu, when Augusto intervened, basically the owner reached out to him and desperate, can you help me find a home for my dog type of thing.
Yeah.
And, we were concerned because we have another dog. We were worried about aggression and things like that, and Augusto basically said, if you take this dog, I will help you with free training, that type of thing. And he's been over the house twice just to make sure things are going okay, and gave us some unbelievable pointers on how to address any signs of aggression if there were any. There was a little bit of an alpha dog thing going on at the very beginning. It's all been worked out. They worked it out. I followed Augusto's advice on that, and and they're fine.
Yeah.
They get along good now. So the whole thing about Augusto that really that I love to tell the side of the story about his commitment to helping people, and he is a really intelligent trainer. And I mean, I've personally read 3 books on training this breed. And I've had problems where I couldn't get an issue resolved, and Augusto spent 15 minutes, and the issue was fixed.
Yeah.
And not only fixed, but also like he doesn't train the dog; he trains you, right? So quite frankly, it's not about training the animals; it's about training dog owners, so they know how to take care of their dogs appropriately, right? So, and that's what a lot of folks don't get.
Yeah. Yeah, Joe, you said you had some thoughts on this situation that just arose, and maybe you can share those with us.
Well, yeah, as a person who's a citizen of the town of Barnstable, I'm a little bit concerned about the priorities of the town. Conducting a search with a warrant at a home where somebody has dogs who is, quite frankly, just the opposite of the problem. He's extremely committed to having people have dogs properly trained and in control and properly taken care of and all those types of things, and yet you've got the town entering his house at 6 o'clock in the morning, obviously trying, in my opinion, trying to force him out, right?
Okay.
So if he's made some mistakes with zoning and things like that, okay, we get that, and he's working on trying to get out of the town. But it just concerns me as a citizen with all of the other issues we have in Barnstable, with all of the drugs and the homelessness, and dogs running around without licenses and without collars and without owners taking care of them, and running out, and the issue on the beaches and things like that. So it's frustrating from my perspective.
That's my dog barking out front there, folks. So, just so you know. Just to tie things up here, Joe. So you think it might have been a little bit of an overreach there, or I mean, what do you expect to come out of all this? I mean, obviously they have something here.
Well, that's why I'm very interested to know, what was the warrant for, and what did they find?
Right.
And so. And what are they doing about it if there is an issue? Because, I just don't see how there could be an issue. This gentleman is so dedicated to helping people in Barnstable take care of their dogs. So, again, it just goes back to like wondering, 6 officers at least were tied up for how much time doing this at 6 o'clock in the morning when, if they drove down the street, they'd probably, find an issue with somebody dealing drugs or, or a homeless person who's who needs help, and to me the town's priorities are a little bit mixed up, and so I understand that Augusto perhaps made some mistakes with zoning, and I understand if he made mistakes, and and he needs to, those need to be addressed, and they need to be addressed. I'm not challenging that. I'm not, the facts are the facts. So again, this dog here is a dog that he intervened to help get rescued, basically. And this is Nalu. He's 7.5 years old. He's got some health issues. He's got some hip and knee issues, and he actually has some abandonment issues, but he's doing great.
He's a beautiful dog.
He's really, really happy now with us, and Augusto was instrumental in making him happy and making sure we knew how to keep him happy.
Right.
So that was great. And Aida, come on, girl. Aida, come here. And Aida is one of Augusto's pups.
Ada wants to play with that ball.
All Aida wants to do is play.
Ada, I'll play with you in a second, okay, Ada?
Come here, girl.
Ada?
Aida.
All right. What's your feelings? Augusto doesn't know what he's going to do yet. If he can find a place in town, or if he's going to have to leave, or.
I want to see him lose. As far as I'm concerned, if Augusto leaves Barnstable, it's a loss to Barnstable. They're going to lose somebody who is, quite frankly, a huge advocate to animal control, animal safety, proper animal behavior. The amount of training he gives his, not just people who get dogs from him, but people walk down the street and they ask him questions, and he tells them how to address issues. I mean, he is a model citizen when it comes to that. He's an advocate for
how old
health.
Is he? I think 22.
He's he's young.
He's a kid.
23 years old.
Yeah.
And if he's guilty of anything, it's being young, and that that American spirit and dream that a guy in his mid-40s like me wishes I had.
Right.
Quite frankly, I'm jealous of his stamina and his I mean, he's just an amazing human being, right?
Okay.
So and clearly there have been obvious signs of prejudice against him because he's from Brazil, and his sexual orientation and things like that. And you know what? There's no room for that in this day and age.
No.
This is America. Right?
I've seen a little bit of that, yeah, and I don't know if that's the driving force behind all this or not yet, but we'll definitely find out. As this unfolds, that's why I'm covering it. I think that it's an important story to cover, because if this happens to one of our citizens, especially somebody that appears to be well liked by many and despised by some. I don't know how big that group of people that are his detractors are. They haven't come forward really to go on camera, but I appreciate you going on camera and explaining this, because it gives me a little bit more perspective. It's something that the viewers of Hyannis News have been asking for, and I've also spoken with several other Augusto dog owners, I think is the best way to put it, that want to come forward and show off their dogs, and I think that's incredible. And at the very least, I really think we were fortunate to have someone like him in town to kind of like educate us on this breed, and hopefully it'll work out for everyone involved. I hope there's peace restored to his situation. Right. So.
Yeah, I'm afraid I think the town of Barnstable is going to lose one of their better citizens out of this whole thing, which is really a shame. But I will definitely stay in touch with him, and as long as he doesn't move out of state, I will go see him for training and to continue the relationship, because he's that good.
So would you come back on camera a little bit later as this story develops?
Sure.
Okay, I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I know you've got to run. You've got some things you got to take care of, and I'm just starting my day now. But it was a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for coming on to Hyannis News.